grab some drawing supplies, and get ready for an interactive story session. I'm thrilled to introduce today's guests, Alice Faye Duncan and Keturah Bobo. So Alice Faye, could you tell us, how did you learn of Opal Lee?
Now that is the question. It was the summer of 2020. There was this voice across the national news, across the internet, and that voice was Opal Lee, encouraging the whole nation under the banner of Juneteenth to unite in unity. And that is the year that I first learned about her, even though she had been walking and marching to make Juneteenth a holiday since 2016.
Keturah, we know that visual art is an important way to tell stories about historical events. Why was it important for you to bring the story of Juneteenth and Opal Lee to life visually?
So I found out about Opal Lee. This book was the first biography that I've ever done, and I felt inspired and empowered to do it because of that as well. I think somebody with a life like hers deserves to be, recognized, and their story deserves to be told. I thought that was really important. Juneteenth is a holiday that I think doesn't really get the spotlight like it should. I think it's something that will definitely kind of like shine the light that it needs. I couldn't pass up the opportunity to be a part of this project and tell Opal Lee's story. She's a colorful person, and I wanted to put the illustration, show her colorful spirit in the book. I think it came out really well, and I'm happy to be a part of it for sure.
So if you would, please read Opal Lee and What It Means to Be Free.
Opal Lee and What It Means to Be Free, written by me, Alice Faye Duncan, and illustrated by Keturah Bobo. Opal Lee and What It Means to Be Free, the true story of the grandmother of Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth Jamboree, come and join the fun. Opal Lee waved to her great-grandson as he barreled across the park. He zipped past lines of picnic tables covered with platters of barbecue, baked beans, tomato tarts, and raspberry cobbler. He hurried past the leaping choir draped in purple robes. He danced a jig with cowboys playing fiddles, but they did not stop his flow. Buddy ran to the blooming tree where Opal Lee held court. Her braided hair was a silver crown. Her eyes were twinkling stars. Great grandeur, Buddy called. Tell us a Juneteenth story. Opal Lee raised her face to the sun as memories of yesteryear filled her vision. When she had been a Texas bud like the children at her feet, Granddaddy Zach told freedom stories on his wooden porch. As Opal Lee remembered his words, she lifted her hands and cheered. Juneteenth means freedom, and now it's story time. Then Opal Lee began. Once upon a blazing sun, she said, black bodies were bought and sold like cattle. Black men plowed the fields, but were not allowed to own the land. Black women cooked the food, but were not allowed to feast on roast and ribs from the master's table. Black children cleaned the one-room schoolhouses, but were not allowed to read and write. Earning and learning was against the law. Slavery was a thief. American slavery dragged on like a plague until July 1, 1863. That's when President Lincoln wielded courage and raised his feathered pen. He signed the Emancipation Proclamation with a mighty stroke. On the first day of January, said the Emancipation Proclamation, in the year of our Lord, 1863, all persons held as slaves shall be forever free. Glory, glory, glory. Freedom was dazzling news like a bright, starry night. However, Texas was big and many miles away from Mr. Lincoln. White masters defied his words. Black bodies remained in bondage. They plowed, they cooked, they cleaned. Freedom did not ring through Texas in 1863. It was toiling times in the Lone Star State for 2 years, 5 months, and 18 more weary days. Then finally, joy jumped up on dancing feet in the town of Galveston. The year was 1865. 2 whole years later, can you believe it? The day was June 19. Gordon Granger marched through Galveston with Union Army troops. The general raised his booming voice and spoke these righteous words. He said, "The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with the proclamation from the executive of the United States, all slaves are free." Opal Lee danced in a circle and she said, "Freedom, hope, and joy divine. Juneteenth means it's freedom time." Can you imagine the excitement? Singing filled the air. Happy tears rolled down like rain. Black families leaped through cotton fields and played tambourines. It was a day of jubilee, perfect for Texas barbecue, watermelon, and sweet potato pie. Delicious delights they had been denied during their servitude. Opal Lee told the children, "Remember my words for safekeeping. Remember what I say. Juneteenth is bigger than Texas, singing or dancing bands. Juneteenth is freedom rising, and freedom is for everyone. Juneteenth is you and me." As the children clapped and cheered, Buddy tugged her sleeve. "Great granddear," he called, "what was Juneteenth like when you were a kid?" Opal Lee unwrapped another story. She said, "Blacks and whites lived separately when I was a child. Jim Crow signs littered old Fort Worth in every public space. Black families were banned from Forest Park Zoo, except one day of the year. On Juneteenth, we could picnic, party, and ride the Ferris wheels. I hated that zoo, but I loved it too. The birdhouse was my favorite." Buddy groaned and shook his head. "The old days," he said, "don't sound so good." Good and bad work together like the sun and rain. I spent good days on my granddaddy's porch reading poetry books. His farm was my playground. I ran across the fields and climbed the tallest oak. Glory, glory, glory. Some memories are chocolate sweet, but some memories cut and they bruise. My saddest season started on Juneteenth Day, 1939. An angry mob with flaming sticks burned my family's brand new house. Their broken minds and evil hearts were so afraid of Black progress. The police made no arrests. My family moved away. And yet, the embers burn. That fire still lives in me. I learned a big lesson that Juneteenth Day. Freedom is a golden coin, and struggle makes it shine. And no matter how long it takes for freedom to stretch across the land, as for me, I will keep on teaching. I will keep on reaching. I will keep on walking. I will keep on talking. I will raise my voice on the prairie and the mountaintop until freedom reigns. The children lifted their hands in praise. They shouted, "Freedom, hope, and joy divine. Juneteenth means that's right, freedom time." Opal Lee winked and chuckled. "I think now it's time for barbecue, strawberry cake, and red Juneteenth punch." Glory, glory, glory. Buddy cheered and waved his hands. When he bounced up to leave, Opal Lee hugged him tightly. Then, just like birds in flight, all the children flocked into her arms. Opal Lee studied their shining faces. Black, brown, bronze, gold, tan, white, freckles. As the children dashed away, she marveled at the bright future. She rested against the blooming tree and whispered into the wind, "Remember my words for safekeeping. Remember what I say. Freedom is for everyone. Juneteenth is you and me." Opal Lee and what it means to be free. The true story of the grandmother of Juneteenth. Thank you for that opportunity.
Keturah, we would love for you to share a demo illustrating your freedom sign.
Opal Lee is an activist and a motivational speaker. A lot of times in protests, you'll see signs. So as you see in the book, there's an illustration where there's people holding up signs as they're marching. So I wanted us to create a sign using Colors of the World crayons, and I wanted to use some brown skin tones to represent mine. So we'll start with that. And this is just going to be an illustration that's speaking about Juneteenth. So I'm just going to create the letters, and I'm going to use the box letters. Write out the word Juneteenth for this beautiful sign. You can use your skin tone and also skin tones that are different from you, because it's important to show that Juneteenth is for everyone. So there we are with that. Feel free to color it in various shades of brown that are all in that beautiful Crayola pack. You can use this sign to post online as your way to share how important Juneteenth is as a national holiday now. I'm going to use different skin tones to color all the different letters. We can also use markers for this. And I'm going to use the various skin tones for the markers as well. You can even put some decorations in the letters if you want as well, just to make it more interesting. I use a lot of symbols in the book, illustrations for the Opal book. And actually on the cover, there's an African symbol that I use that we're gonna use for this sign as well. But for this particular sign, I just felt like it would be cool to do different shades of brown and different skin tones, because we're all different and it's beautiful that everybody has a different skin tone. So it would be cool to use a skin tone that's like yours and ones that are different from yours. So that might be a dark brown, that might be a medium brown, that might be a peach color, it might be a tan color. There's a page in the book that mentions gold and freckles and white, and how all of those are beautiful skin tones. Another thing I think that we should do for this particular sign is to use our hands. So you guys might want to cut out, do a trace of your hand, and cut it out, and maybe you have a bigger piece of paper and you can put your hands to go around the sign to represent all different cultures and races of people. I'm just going to draw a few hands at the bottom to show that Juneteenth is exciting. It's exciting and it's a celebration of freedom. And I think for the pattern to go around, just to make it more decorative, we can do maybe some boxes. The decorative pattern that I used in the Opal book is a circular pattern. So it could be whatever you want, whatever you think you might be feeling today. Or maybe on this side, I'll do a line pattern. There is our sign. You can make anything that's you feel passionate about. I feel like this one turned out pretty good. We can go back in and, add a bit more color to it, maybe color in these hands a little bit more. Whatever you think works for your sign. It's going to be beautiful no matter what you do.
I would like for you now demonstrate for us your second art technique around portraiture and how we can bring ourselves to the story of Juneteenth, as you've illustrated with the cover of the book.
Yes, thank you, James. So for this one, it's going to be a little bit more colorful. I'm going to use construction paper, and we're going to do some cutting out of the silhouette that's like similar to the cover. Okay, so we're going to do the silhouette portrait of Opal Lee. And I just feel like it's important to immortalize people while they're here and to appreciate, who she is as a person and everything that she represents. So that's why I thought it would be cool to do a portrait of her. And the one on the cover is a side view portrait. So it's pretty simple. You just start out with the side view face. And I have her kind of like looking up toward the sky, and Opal often wears a bun. So we're gonna add that in there. And I'm using a pencil to do this because we're gonna actually end up cutting this out. She often wears braids in her hair, which is really cool. And she always wears glasses. That part might be a little bit harder to cut out, so you can just ask an adult to help you if you need to. Alrighty, I'm gonna cut this out. Alrighty, after I cut out the side view portrait, I'm just gonna fine tune it a little bit and also cut out her glasses. I'm gonna get the yellow for the background. I've already created some symbols that we're gonna do for the background as well. And I thought it would be cool to play around with some circular symbols, just because that's already what's in the background for the in the cover. So we can play around with that. And I think a lot of these look like the sun, which I think is really cool. We can put a ton of different symbols back here if you want. If you wanted to do a portrait of yourself in the same technique, that works too. The side portrait style is very something that stands out, and I feel like I've always been drawn to side portraiture myself. So, and the other thing that I wanted to add to this is the quote that's in the front of the book that Opal Lee is known for, where she says, "None of us are free until we all are free." And I just feel like that quote is something that stands out a lot, because that's what Juneteenth is all about. It's about a celebration of freedom, and it's important to realize that like freedom is something that should be for everyone. We shouldn't get to pick and choose who's free and who's not free. So I'm gonna choose the construction paper crayons to the quote inside of Opal Lee's silhouette. I'm going to use different colors for each word just to make it more interesting. I think pictures and words are something that definitely complement each other. And that's why I chose 2 different projects that incorporate words, because they complement and they both represent 2 ways of expressing ourselves. So might do another pattern, or maybe make the letters more block letters to make them a little bit more interesting. But yeah, this is basically the portrait that I did for Opal Lee that's representing the cover. Feel free to make your own, or feel free to do one inspired by Opal Lee like I did.
We want to thank Alice Faye and Keturah for inspiring us today with this very important story of Opal Lee and Juneteenth. We also want to thank our friends at Tommy Nelson Publishing, and a very special thanks to you for joining us today. I leave you with these words from our book. Juneteenth is freedom rising, and freedom is for everyone. Juneteenth is you and me.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. And I leave you with my final words. Dream big, walk tall, be strong, march on, don't quit, never stop, climb up the mountaintop. Goodbye.
Thank you for joining us today. Bye-bye.